There are two health paths, and one leads to lifelong health and a body you feel confident in that doesn't hold you back. The other path constantly holds you back, where you never really feel like you're one with your body. You're always fighting against the new program, the new diet, and you never really crack it, and you always feel like it's just out of reach. This one skill set is what I want to go through in today's training, and I've learnt this and observed this after working with thousands and thousands of clients. I've been in the industry for over a decade and having the privilege to work with some amazing coaches in our team, working with their own personal clients, building out and designing an entire roadmap and perfecting what that structure, what that journey looks like, should we be doing in the first 3 months, the next 6 months, and how to make it a lifelong habit. And being able to see where people sort of fall off at different points in the journey versus where they thrive, where they can be reactivated, where they can truly reset and lock and load. I'm going to walk you through those concepts with the fundamental difference between these two types. So the first one I want to address is going to be the curious type. They're going to try new things, they're going to pay attention, but they're going to ask questions along the way. They're going to connect some dots. And every change, every experiment they make is an example or a chance to learn something about their body. They know what worked, they know what didn't work, and they try and manage the level of judgment that comes in between the failures and the next learning. So that's the first path. The second one is going to be the one that works hard, but in a different way, right? They're following the plan, they're ticking the boxes, they stick to the routine, but they don't stop to notice why it works, right? And there's a fundamental difference here, and it's got nothing to do with intensity of steps followed. It's got to do with the intellectual, or rather emotional intelligence of where am I picking up on these signals of what my body is telling me. It's kind of like running a business off a template. It might be something that if you get a template off a business coach, you can get your first sale, but then you have no idea how to get the next one, and you're guessing instead of building something lasting. And look, Mandy inside of our Body Reset team, she runs a fantastic workshop in the cooking space when we do our workshops with our members, and it's really nice to be able to clarify the difference between, again, the cookbook or the chef. Are you going to be the person that just sticks the recipe, gets to the meal, but if any ingredient's missing or something slightly off, you have no idea why, and you don't know how to make adjustments on the fly? Whereas Mandy, we've cooked in Bali, we've cooked in Christchurch, in Queenstown, in Melbourne, for different workshops using different recipes with ingredients that didn't arrive, all sorts of things. And just seeing how she's able to swap, to adjust flavor, to adapt, to create something new, create something they didn't even know you'd be able to get out of the foods or the ingredients that were left, because she knew what she was looking for in a meal. She understands the fundamental concepts of flavor and texture and whatever else that magician has put into the meal. So being able to highlight, you could use these examples in many different ways, right? The student versus the scientist, the athlete versus the amateur, the cookbook or the chef. It really allows us to bring awareness to, if you want to have lifelong health, stop playing like an amateur and just following some textbook. Get to a point that you've got backing and confidence with a plan that you know is going to work for people in your space. Hopefully you're getting it from people that have done it and replicated it with other people before. But now you're in a spot where you're not just following the plan blindly and making sure that everything is ticked off. While you get to each point, you're like, what part of this still felt awkward? What part do I need to refine? And as you start to build this list over time, you start to accumulate knowledge. You start to have battle-tested, actual, real-world understanding rather than just theoretical understanding of what that looks like. So health is the same. When you're trying to build these adjustments, there's far too many people looking for these short-term results and just following some instructions, but not really asking the question, versus the lifelong results that come from that awareness, from that connection, and actually learning how to make those adjustments on the fly as we move forward. If you bring that curiosity to how you feel, how your body responds, and then how do I adapt to that response, you're going to be in a much, much better spot to move forward. I think both sides of this, don't get me wrong, I think that the initial getting some sort of structure, template, direction to follow is going to be more helpful than just blindly moving forward for the first step. I think it's worth skipping the first decade worth of mistakes. But if you're going to maintain those long term, you've got to be able to take your own intuition into account. And I think this is something we've seen with our own personal clients when they've been with us more than 6 months, right? And we've got plenty of clients that have been with us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5+ years. And they don't need us. They're simply here because we know that we can help bounce those questions off them, start to bring awareness to where's the best next step, and in many ways create next seasons of focus so that we can get so much more out of it. And where that comes into the lifelong health component and really a better coaching relationship is that the whole point in that process is that we're asking how they feel. They're asking what their focus is right now. How do we bring permission to the particular season that we're in? So example of that might be that you're in a crazy work season right now. It's not about hitting PBs on your squat. It's about maintaining a level of mobility, a level of functional strength, potentially just a level of sustained energy. So our workouts are chipping away and keeping us healthy, but not burning ourselves out and getting in the way of the intensity of that particular work season. Or if you're on holiday, it's more of a family focused space. It's being able to make sure that one, the particular focus does become the priority rather than the weird mix of priorities, which means you don't have a simple focus, while also making sure that if business has been crazy for 6 months and you say, yeah, this is just 6 months, you don't turn this into a 2-year cycle that starts to have detrimental impacts to your connection at home, to your ability to get your workouts in, right? So to expand on that a little bit, it's not only for your ability to get more out of a particular program that you're following and really adapt and expand this into something you can follow long term, it's also going to show up in your coaching relationships and how you're able to bring something to the table, right? You are going to be the biggest expert of your body once you start listening, once you start to bring that intuition into this discussion and start trusting it, so that when you're able to talk to a coach or a specialist, you're able to say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I've found, how can we build on that? And these are the clients that I love working with. And I know that it's a funny mix, right? Because the clients that we work with that absolutely crush the program are absolutely independent. They could do it without us, but they simply know that they're going to get more out of things by bringing their 2 cents to the table, allowing us to adapt it and then build something great from there. So if you want to make the most out of health long term, there's the simple 2 paths. So you're going to follow the template and not ask questions, or you're going to take that knowledge and really build and experiment and learn from it as we continue to adapt it on the fly to your own personal life. If you truly want to make it your own blueprint, don't just stick with the generic template. Use that to take the first steps. And I think it's important to make sure that there's a period of time that you commit to where you do just give yourself permission to follow the process without trying to get fancy, but then you're starting to listen along the way, and without changing the action, you're like, well, this is working really well. This is not moving the same. And it allows you to break down an overall macro concept of this is not working or this is working to this part's going really well, but this part could be better. And that's where ultimately the difference between the amateur and the professional, or simply the person that gets stuck every 6 months versus a person that just builds momentum that can't be stopped, is that they're continually refining, they're continually looking into the details and building that awareness of health. So look, the last thing I want to leave you with here is you're probably thinking, well, that feels like work. And yeah, it does, because anything in life worth working for is going to require some attention. And what we've seen in so many cases with so many driven and amazing humans that we work with is that they've got attention pulled to the type of work that they find valuable. They've got attention pulled towards their family and people that rely on them or need them. And they've got no reminders in that space for their own personal health. So it's so easy to just simply wither away and be this thing that, oh yeah, I've just forgotten about that, and it's hard to get back into. So if you want to create that momentum, it doesn't need to be all consuming, but at the same time, it does need to be in the back of your mind in all scenarios, right? Am I feeling like when I'm around my kids or around my partner that I'm feeling triggered and anxious, or do I feel calm and present? If I'm at my work, do I feel sharp? Do I feel focused? Do I feel on the ball? Or do I feel kind of foggy and dragging my feet and just a little bit behind the 8 ball? Or when I'm doing my workouts, right? And that's going to be not just jumping into the first exercise that's on your list. Am I taking that time to address, no, there's a bit of a tightness there, so I'm going to start with greasing up those joints, activating some muscles, and just starting the workout in a way that I'm adjusting based on the signals that my body is giving me. And you can push that to any area of health. The amazing thing about working with so many incredible professionals in their own right, whatever industry, whatever space, whatever project that they're working on, this level of details comes through, right? And if you want to have that level of confidence and clarity in your health, it requires the same attention. It is not draining of energy because it's frankly giving you energy and you feel in control. You feel like you're in one. Whereas if you're always fighting your body, it gets pretty challenging. All right. So you've got 2 paths. Take the time to learn, take the time to build, and I promise you that skill that you're building, that real world applicable on the fly adjustments that you can make, has a huge impact long term because you can become the chef, not just following the cookbook. Until next time, that should give you something to chew on, and I hope you have an amazing week.